everybody to another special episode of the Queen Tings Only podcast. I'm super grateful and honoured today to have a very special guest sitting beside me. None other than Letitia Wright, Shuri, actress, shall I say, and producer, someone of, I think that represents strength, someone that represents grace, and someone that represents like excellence. So I'm really excited and grateful to welcome her today. So how are you?
I'm doing amazingly well. Kind of in awe of your story, really, and like how cool you are. So I'm really honoured to be here.
No, thank you so much. I think that's really special. Even just, how we're here today. I'm kind of, even just starting with gratitude, I think is a big part. The way I met Letitia was literally, I think, I say it was a coincidence, but I say nothing is a coincidence. Everything is in God's timing and in God's plan. Literally it was just a moment where I was just, I guess, going through my day in life. And she was there, literally in a cafe when I was with my family. And I was literally just called to kind of just introduce myself to her and share my story to Letitia, to kind of ask her in a sense to kind of just, share her light on my podcast, and as a part of this kind of bigger project of I Am Queen, motivating and empowering, young women and girls to kind of just be themselves unapologetically and authentically. So I think that she is someone that definitely aligns with the vision and the message of I Am Queen and the Queen Tings Only podcast, and even myself personally. So I'm super grateful, and I think it's very timely, very timely, especially with the with the launch of, Black Panther Wakanda Forever, just recently coming out, and all you kind of represented in that role, super definitely touched me, and we're going to dive into some of that today. So I guess the first question I kind of have, I kind of want to bring it back to the beginning. Even just, I guess this podcast is dedicated for our young women and girls and everyone really, to inspire them, but it would be really interesting just to hear where everything started for you, and just even like who was young Letitia, whatever kind of age I guess you want to start. But who was that girl, and how do you think that girl has kind of even trickled into the person that you are now?
Oh wow.
Where did acting start? Who was young Letitia?
Oh man, young Tish. I grew up in Guyana, was born there in South America. So at a young age I was, really exposed to like American TV and music. So a lot of like my expression was through that. You'd find me in the garden, like beating on drums and stuff, or turning over buckets and like trying to make drums out of it, annoying my auntie, or like trying to do like a dance sequence to Backstreet Boys, watching TV shows like Full House and Fresh Prince of Bel-Air and Family Matters. So that young girl was really influenced by a lot of like media, and I saw at an early age the way that media like was a form of expression to connect to people. And like I was like super shy and stuff, but I don't know, I always felt like there was like a little light inside of me that wanted to like burst open and like share with the world. And then I moved to the UK when I was like 7 or 8. So I had to adjust very quickly to a new climate, to a new culture, to a new way of like doing things really. And in the midst of that, God had a way of like pinpointing my pinpointing where my path should be. Again, I'm being influenced by movies. So I'm watching like Mike or like Honey. And I'm coming home and like, the classics. Coming home like doing all the Honey dance moves, or like trying to be a basketball player like Bow Wow in like Mike. And I say that because like as I was like mimicking what I was seeing, God was trying to find a path for me to actually become an actor.
And channel that.
So going to primary school, Risley Avenue Primary School, and my teacher, Miss Angela Sava, was just like, you should just come to acting classes and channel all this energy into something, you know, expressive. And that's kind of like where it started for me. You know, that desire to use acting and storytelling to connect with people and to express myself as well in the same way.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like how it started for me, and a little bit of her is still there, like that wonder, that desire to tell stories is from that little girl is still active in me today.
No, I think that's super, super beautiful, I guess, to just, see that, because I guess that passion is still with you now. And just kind of, being able to channel that kind of energy and that desire from young is super, super powerful, because I guess that is what you kind of embody as a actress. You kind of telling other people's story while telling yours at the same time. And kind of just meeting that together. So, no, I think that's super, super beautiful. How would you say that you know, kind of knew that, like, acting was your kind of calling and, like, acting was for you?
Yeah. At first, you know, when you're in primary school, you're doing it kind of like for fun. And I think it really solidified for me when I was, you know, summer holidays, when you're broke, like, all you got is the TV, innit?
Yeah.
You know, you ain't never got a bike to ride. So again, I find myself looking at movies. I kid you not, man. I'm 13?
Yeah.
And I watched this movie called 8-Legged Freaks. Do not watch it. It's about spiders. This is why I have
arachnophobia.
Oh my goodness. See, I didn't even know that word.
Yeah.
Because that's how much I don't want to know about spiders.
Don't talk about it.
And I kid you not, I found a denim jacket because the lead character had a denim jacket.
Yeah.
And I found a bust-down bike from my cousins. And I reenacted the whole movie in my garden. So I spent my summers doing that.
Yeah.
And then there was one movie I was like, let me check this movie out. See if this is going to be a movie that I want to reenact. And it was Aquila and the Bee with Kiki Palmer.
I love that movie so much.
And it spun me, like, it really messed with me. Because for the first time, I saw a young black girl that was about my age, because Kiki Palmer and myself is not too far in age.
Yeah.
And she was tripping over spelling. Like, she wasn't, like, tripping over nothing stereotypical. It wasn't, like, gang affiliation or something. Like, it was about spelling. And she was so determined to be the best spelling, win the spelling bee. And then Angela Bassett was her mom. And Angela, like, in those scenes with Angela Bassett, she was expressing emotions, you know, tapping into, like, what she was feeling. Like, it really, really stayed with me. And for the first time in my life, I was like, I want to make someone feel the way that this movie has made me feel. This movie has made me feel like how it's impacted my heart. Like, how did they do that? Like, with scenes, with words, with that connectivity. Like, how did they do that? And I just obsessed over it. I bought the DVD.
Yeah.
I watched all the interviews. I tried to find the behind the scenes. And that was, let's say, around 14, 15. That I was just like, acting is something that I'm going to put. Because if Kiki can do it, I can do it.
I can do it.
Yeah.
No, I think that's super, super powerful. That's even why I kind of draw inspiration from you and so many other different people. Literally just seeing that if they can do it and they've been able to embody that, I can too. And I think that's a super, super powerful age, and a movie that I think is just so iconic and is literally will last a lifetime, to be very honest with you. You know, that representation of an intelligent black girl, you know, and just kind of that striving for excellence. I think that definitely is really, really key in that movie, to see that you've been able to draw your inspiration from that. And that'd be like a driving force even to kind of just to how can I be that? How can I become better? Like, how can I just that, you know, curiosity just to learn even, I think is super, super important and super, super relevant. So a question I have, which is kind of, you know, so much that there's to talk about, trust me, is kind of you kind of coming from an actress to kind of wanting to produce. You recently produced The Silent Twins, which is an amazing story, which I would love for you to even just explain in your own way that story, how you came into kind of choosing that, wanting to produce in that, and even kind of your motivation to wanting to produce a movie. If you can even just speak about that a little bit.
Yeah. I feel like I have this way of thinking about how I do things, and I try not to put my hands in everything at one time.
Yeah.
I try to like plant a seed, and acting is that seed,
Mm-hmm.
and I water it and I nurture it. You put all the food that's needed for this plant to grow, this tree to grow, and you allow that tree to have branches, to be an extension of what is already solidified, and producing is one of those.
Yeah.
Anyone who's smart enough would start looking around them on a set and say, how did this all even come to be?
Mm-hmm.
And then you realize that the person in power is usually not the person in front of the screen.
Yeah, exactly.
Even though they have the ability to change and influence the audience with emotion and with a story and with the way they, that you're a vessel for a story. But the real power is behind the camera.
Exactly.
So I wanted to know who those people were.
Mm-hmm.
And I started to just, as my career started to solidify in its success and its trajectory of what it is now and what it will be, because I'm still working and growing, I started to get an interest for producing. And I realized that I needed to attach myself to the projects that were already becoming available to me. Instead of looking elsewhere, I just looked at what was coming in. And Silent Twins was one of those projects.
Wow.
Thankfully, someone, your past work always speaks for you. So if you keep applying yourself at each moment, each project, eventually people can go back to your work and say, I can hold her accountable for being a good actress here because this movie proves it. So thankfully, someone watched my previous work and said, I want you to be a part of Silent Twins. Wow. And then instead of just taking the actress role, which is, still hard work, it's a lot of hard work.
Yeah, I can imagine.
I also put my hands up to be an executive producer at the time, and I got the opportunity firsthand experience of how things come together. So it was always something that was in my heart to do, but I wanted to just pace myself and not overload on it, really. I wanted to just do it in the environment where I felt comfortable. And thankfully, Silent Twins, the team behind that, the team at 42, our Polish producers, Claudia, Aga, our director, and the team at Focus Features, felt it was imperative for myself and Tamara Lawrence to be producers, also because we're Black women. And this movie is about 2 Black women, and it's only right that we have say, in the room. So that was a very beautiful thing. And I learned a lot. I learned from the beginning to the end what it means to make a film. There's still some sections that I need to understand, financing and putting together of a marketing team. Like, I'm still learning all of these things, but seeing the fact that, I don't know, we're looking at 16 to 20 different poster options and dissecting that and giving notes and deciding which poster would be the poster to go around the world to represent this film. I've never had that opportunity before. Wow. Or to look at multiple edits, so producing is something I want to continue in a gentle way, and I want to approach it the way that I do acting, which is I want to produce projects that are meaningful, like that would be of meaning. I wanted to do Silent Twins because, again, like when I pick stories, I pick it because of what it says. I want things to be meaningful. Like I'm actually looking for that. Like, is this purposeful? Is this meaningful? Is this gonna impact people? Does it impact my heart? Is it gonna change something? And does it tell a story that needs to be told? And this was a story about 2 young girls, twin sisters, June and Jennifer Gibbons, Bayesian heritage, born in Yemen, but traveled the world with their dad. And, unfortunately, came to Britain and was marginalized for the color of their skin and struggled because they had a speech impediment, and they just used silence to empower themselves. They use silence as a way to say, if you're bullying me at school and you're picking on me, then I'm going to close in and be silent. And me and my sisters, we're going to make a pact to protect ourselves. And that kind of game, that pact became something that held them for years. And it also shows the unfortunate, it comes out on Friday for those who want to see it. But it shows the unfortunate ways in which sometimes mental health is not dealt with in the right way, and misdiagnosing someone is a very dangerous thing. And these girls were unfortunately misdiagnosed and put into Broadmoor Hospital, which is a mental institution, especially for the likes of people who've done really terrible things, for 11 years. And this was done to 2 young Black women.
Wow.
And
in what time era, just to clarify?
It was done in the 80s.
Okay.
Yeah, in the 80s. And they were like 18 years old.
Wow.
Or something like that. And they were locked away for like 11 years. They came out when they were like 30. They came out like 93.
Yeah.
And I was born that year.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate. And for me, we needed to see that story. We needed to see their side of it, because the media kind of pushed out the narrative that they deserved to be there, and they didn't.
Yeah.
So I say that to say, like, these are the type of stories that drive me. These are the type of stories that impact my heart, and I want to do that in the same way with producing.
Yeah, no, I think that's really amazing, and like their story, just listening to it, it's definitely touched me. It's something I'm definitely gonna go and watch.
Yeah.
But yeah, literally just like that silence as power almost, and that choice. And I think that everyone kind of has their kind of vessel of kind of, I guess, a creative expression.
Yeah.
And for me, why I find that really interesting is mine is spoken word and poetry. And a lot of the time I kind of really feel deep within my heart that I'm kind of the voice for the voiceless. And even you just articulating there how you want kind of every role you embody, every role you act, and all you kind of work on to just really impact people, touch people's hearts, give people a new perspective. That's something I can even, personally relate to. So I think that's super, super powerful.
Yeah.
And just, like really, because I would have never known that story, you know, if it probably wasn't for you creating that movie.
Yeah.
And literally just telling that story. And I think that is a thing of just like, there's so many stories, even, you know, beyond like, you know, America and stuff like that, just literally in Black Britain, that kind of just deserve the spotlight. So do you feel kind of, you know, many of the stories of Black Britain, and even for Black British women, kind of our stories are hidden, and do you feel like you're a part of kind of changing that?
That's a fantastic question. Yeah, clearly, like, you can see the ways in which the ratio of our stories compared to other stories, you know, it's not fair, not well balanced. And I think we are in a time where, especially in the creative community, where we're taking ownership to do our own stories and to showcase them. And I would like to say I'm a part of that. Before I went to America, I didn't really go to America, if I'm honest. Yeah. Like, everybody kept going. I remember when everybody would, like, go to America, like, each summer to, like, book a job or get an agent. And I wanted to master what was in front of me. And I said, if I can't master even breaking through a little bit in the UK, then I don't really, for me personally, I just didn't really thought it. I didn't really thought, like, it made sense. So, like, I just focused on trying to tell stories here. And I did find that most of the stories weren't really written for us. Yeah. And most times I was going in for a part that the writer clearly saw for a white woman, but I just kind of spun them in the thing, and they're like, actually, we can change this to be a Black girl. Yeah. But I feel like with the opportunity to then go and do Black Panther Wakanda Forever or the first Black Panther and have that kind of access, it in a way allowed doors to be opened up for me to do stories representing Black women here. So like when I did Black Panther, I got to meet Steve McQueen.
Wow.
And he was like, do you want to play Althea Jones LaQuant in Small Axe? And that's never happened to me before because I'm always trying to convince someone that I can play the part that was clearly written for another ethnicity.
Yeah.
I just wanted to just be in the room and have access. So with the success of other things, it opens doors for us to represent Black women in stories. But I do feel that there is a lot of work to be done with anything.
Yeah.
But I feel the vibe of like the ownership. Do you know what I mean? I feel that when I'm around my peers, especially Black actresses in the UK, like there is just like we're not waiting anymore to be handed something. We're writing, we're producing, we're stepping out in ways. You know, I have a friend right now. She has a play on at the Bush. Wow. You know, I know someone, Arenze, he's always writing his own plays and putting them up and is successful. You know, Michaela Cole is a great example of someone who's taken ownership of her stories and written them and putting them on a mainstream platform. So I feel like there's a shift going on within us and we're not waiting anymore. And I think the more that we gain status and platforms, we can have more and easy access to like write these stories and put them together and let them go out into the world. I hope that answers it.
No, that definitely does answer it. I think you kind of went in depth of kind of the reality and kind of what you want to see, and I think that's even the power of you know, having, you know, being able to produce certain things, and you know, young, driven, you know, Black producers, you know, kind of rising, because it's like, you know what, we're not seeing this, so we're gonna create it for ourselves. I think that's super, super powerful, and I'm seeing more of it, and I think it's a beautiful thing to see, especially, you know, kind of us being able to put ourselves in places that other people wouldn't really think of us, you know, in. And especially with kind of, I guess, even breaking stereotypes, to be honest. I think that's what that allows room for. And I think that's definitely what Wakanda Forever, Black Panther has done, and many of the things that you've worked on. How have you felt about that kind of shift, or how have you kind of seen that shift after kind of being a part of, I guess, Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, and going from a place of kind of, even for Black women, I think that's what I really want to focus on, like Black female warrior queens. That is what that is in that movie. And that's what I kind of just get so kind of excited about, you know, just to see that. So what have you kind of, I guess, taken from being able to represent, you know, Shuri, and such a powerful character that kind of, literally changes the narrative and is breaking stereotypes, and is like, a queen character that's going to kind of impact young people in such an amazing way, and the world in such an amazing way, kind of taking that power back. Like, how has that, you know, been for you, kind of watching that change and that shift, or have you felt that shift?
100%. There's a question that you asked at the beginning, is just like, how has your younger self impacted who you are today? And that young girl, you know, summer holiday, looking at Kiki Palmer, being like, I want an opportunity to change the world with stories. That's kind of like that's pretty much what you're witnessing today. And within that young girl was the desire for seeing us multi-layered and three-dimensional, and not stereotypical at all. So I went against the grain from time. Like, it didn't just start now. It started back then when I was like 17, making choices that people thought were wrong. Like, I was saying no to a lot. Things that didn't make sense. I left things, you know, I left projects that didn't make sense to, especially for us as the community, like, I didn't want to be a part of it because I respected what people were doing, but I just dreamed bigger. Like I just saw something more. And at that time when you're a teenager, like no one can see the dreams that you see. So that desire to represent Black women, especially within my work, that could be that can give us a sense of pride, that can give us a sense of understanding, that we can see ourselves in the different layers that we are, and complexities and beauty. It took time, but I was doing that groundwork from a long time. And being able to play Shuri was the breaking, like the breakthrough for me. You know what I mean? Amazing. Like, yeah, Shuri was that, like, all the no's, all of the nah, I can't do that because that's not in alignment with my path. Like, all of it came to this moment. Wow. And then some, because there's still more for God to do. Yeah, of course. But it came to that moment of being like, I'm playing, like, I saw the description, it's just like, she's Black, she's a princess. Yes. She's a scientist. Yeah. She's also a warrior. And she's cool as heck. Like,
and killing it.
I've never seen that all in one page. No. Ever. Like, some of the ways in which they describe characters, you're just like, really, what? Like, you couldn't do more? Yeah. Like, do you know what I mean? Yeah. So, seeing the ways in which, collectively, the film has impacted the lives of so many Black women around the world, you know, and Black men too, but if we're going to focus on queens, then cool. Yeah. It has really been one of the biggest honors, like the greatest honors of my life, like really, because I feel like I've done something in the world that can live on for generations, you know, and that's the aim. So, yeah, man, I feel a sense of pride every time, like, every time I see any videos or pics of, like, any young girl in, like, a Shuri costume, or any young girl that says that she feels confident in her science class, or she feels confident to, like, go into the arena of technology. She believes that she could do it. Like, I walk away feeling like I've done something right in the world. So I want to see more of that. And we are in a time of Black women being at the forefront of being not only, you know, multi-layered in our emotions and the way we express ourselves. We're seeing ourselves on the screen and we're feeling everything. Yeah. But also we're warriors as well. Like, Woman King was amazing. Have you seen that?
Yes. No. Yeah.
Have you seen it?
They've seen it and I haven't. Many of my family have seen it, but I haven't. But I have to.
You have to see Woman King. So Woman King was so good. And again, like, you know, things are shifting. You know, for a long time, you know, Black women, we're always seen as lost sometimes, you know, and the world is catching up to what we've always been, which is, you know, fearfully and wonderfully made and by God, and to be a part of that conversation, to be a part of the narrative of someone who's using their talent to shift the culture and inspire people in a way of positivity, and see them, and for people to see themselves as worthy and powerful and respected and loved and beautiful. I can't even lie, it's amazing. Yeah. It's amazing.
And I think it goes beyond words, to be honest. Like, even you were saying, that emotion that so many people are kind of taken in so many different ways. And how it's changed their life. Even if I just kind of think back to, like, the first time I probably watched Black Panther, and now watching Wakanda Forever, and how you even kind of just honoured even Chadwick, and how you've kind of been able to shift your role to kind of just, like, literally be queen. Like, and I think that's the best way I can even articulate it. And even though I haven't watched Woman King, just the story of that, of kind of a warrior tribe of women that kind of have all the kind of attributes of resilience, strength, like, so there's so many themes that I think that even kind of cross over. Yeah. And even that kind of, like, representing our ancestors in a sense, you know, and kind of just this kind of modern legacy that was creating and like honoring our ancestors, and representing ourselves as kings and queens in a new way. That's just, I just think it's so powerful, and it's only gonna get better. It's only gonna become greater. And like you said, literally returning to who we truly are. Because a big part of kind of, I guess, many of the stereotypes that you see, or the things that we feel that are not there, we're creating that for ourselves. We're coming back to our true selves. Whether that's in, entrepreneurship, whether that's in technology, whether that's in film, whether that's through creative expression, whatever it is. I feel that shift just in the world as a whole. Like, we're literally just returning to our true selves. And I think that this movie, Wakanda Forever, definitely represents that. And even a question I would ask for you is just kind of, one, your experience, kind of, I guess, shifting your character to be Shuri. And if you feel like any kind of attributes and traits of Shuri kind of relate to your personal life and who you are, and even if there's kind of like a parallel reality with that, if that makes sense.
So like I really love the ways in which Shuri has developed in the new film as well. The first film, I remember being there thinking like, I gotta be super serious and like, I'm next to Angela Bassett and Chadwick Boseman, like I gotta like,
represent.
And then I remember like the notes for my character for me was just like, look, like Shuri's light, like Shuri's love and light, and let that love and that light just shine through you for that moment, that she's needed on set. Like, just let her just shine, and that was beautiful to see. And we see the ways in which like she's on top of the world. She's got her brother. She's like princess of one of the greatest nations in the world. And she's creating a tech that's going to protect her brother on the road. Like, she's lit. And then in the new movie, we see the ways in which her heart is like really broken. And the parallel connection to Shuri and Tish is kind of like, that's where it all meets. That's the moment where it meets together. And you're like, oh, like, I have to be there for Shuri and Shuri has to be there for me, because the reasoning behind her heartbreak is because she lost her brother. And the reasoning behind my heartbreak is because I've lost Chad. And we've lost Chad as a collective. So the strength that was needed for her, like on paper, I was clocking that her strength was gonna transfer to me. Like, even though I'm putting on a brave face to be there for her, in actuality, she's going to be there for me. So it was like a surreal experience, and one that Ryan really wanted to champion because it represented womanhood, and it represented an arc and a way that people didn't expect this young girl to go from being a tech genius and, what are those? And, she's really fun, like, and cool and vibrant, to just shifting because life is hitting her. And I think, and grief is hitting her, and how does she deal with that as a woman? It's kind of like a coming of age story, really. And for me, there are many parallels, and Shuri taught me a lot. She taught me a lot about the importance of like really healing and really like channeling through your emotions. And then and I knew that going through that grief with her, because we were both experiencing it at the same time, I knew that at the end of the journey, once I was able to leave that on the screen and go off and do my continuous healing in my own private life about the situation, I knew that what was done on screen was going to help someone. So I love the fact that Shuri in the first film is helping people to realize how amazing and innovative and almost inspiring and like the generation of kids to be like, bro, I'm smart. And being smart is actually cool. Sick and cool. Like, that's actually really dope. I was going to use the word nang, but you don't know what that is.
No,
Yeah. If you didn't have a Walkman a Walkman Sony Ericsson, you don't know what nang is. So I'm not go research it. It's like an old school slang word. That kind of means like dope.
Okay. Yeah. I'm getting the gist.
Yeah. So yeah, like she really set the tone for so many young people feeling so inspired. And then this time, I feel like the ways in which God wanted me to be a vessel for Shuri was to allow young people to know that it's okay to access your emotions and it's okay to process in a healthy way.
Yeah.
You see her try to process in a non-healthy way.
Yeah.
And then you see her processing like, actually, I need to do this in a better way. And yeah, like literally as I thought about that, it came to life like instantly. Like I went to Peru with my sister, walking down the road, and this girl waited for me for like 4 hours to come down the same road. She had that much faith that I would come back down the same road. And she was just like, I was waiting for like 4 hours and I just wanted to tell you, boom, 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 boom. She was like translating on her phone. And then she starts crying and I'm like, what's going on? She's just like, I lost my brother. And like this movie, when I went to see it, like it helped me process, you know, my emotions. Like it helped me to understand like my brother's gonna be okay. Like I'm gonna be okay because Shuri's okay. And I was like, oh wow, like this is a full 3-dimensional person.
No, it is.
It's just broken up in different movies, but it's rich, it's full. So yeah, those are the ways in which Shuri was parallel, and those are the ways in which I felt she continues to impact the world with joy, inspiration, innovation, and also
so much more,
and so much more, like processing real emotions that can really help a lot of young people.
No, definitely. I can definitely relate to that personally, because that even kind of just is something I kind of wanted to gain insight on, is like probably that kind of vulnerability that you probably had to tap into to kind of, portray that role. And all you did, and you killed it.
Thank you.
But yeah, I think it is 3-dimensional, and I even say like a lot of people like it's a fictional story, but many of the concepts within it, the characters, the people, the history, the heritage, the ancestry, everything is very, very real, and is literally, like I say, parallel. And that's why I kind of asked like how it relates to you in real life, because it is real for many people, and obviously yourself, which I think is really, really amazing. A question I have for you, because I kind of have heard you talk about this quite a bit, like how you want to impact and make impact. What would you say, this is a big question, I know it might be a one to think about, but what is the kind of legacy that you kind of want to leave for the world, for young women, for young girls, and just the impact you want to leave, the legacy that you want to leave as Letitia Wright? Oh
wow, what an amazing question. Oh man, I'm still a work in progress.
Yeah, of course.
I'm still learning, developing in my own life, and understanding what a legacy could mean for me and my family. But for the world, I think because it's just been in my heart for such a long time, since I was a little girl. And I don't know if it's gonna change all that much, but really for me, leaving a legacy of, whether it's in my work, whether it's in the ways in which I try to champion the importance of positive mental health, or the way I interact with people in my own life or in my career. I want to leave like a legacy of like just purpose. When I think of legacy, to me, it's not about being the most famous. It's not about being the most of anything that's kind of like
materialistic, I guess.
do you know what I mean? And like you could go up and you can go down. I want to leave a legacy of purpose, and I want to leave a legacy of inspiration and impact. Like I want young people to feel like they can do it, whatever it is that they want to do. I want them to feel like this is possible. And, I want to inspire people to make a positive contribution to the world with whatever God has placed in them to do. So I want to do that by doing it in my own life, and I try to do it through the roles I pick, the stories that I try to tell. It's like every project, like the characters going through a journey that they have to overcome.
Yeah.
I'm not purposely trying to pick it. It's just finding its way to me because I'm aligning with what God wants me to do, which again is aligning me to my path of legacy, of leaving something that's of substance. So if I could simplify it, make it simple for you, it would be to leave a legacy of purpose, and that it will spark the brain of someone else or spark the heart of someone else to do the same, and to leave positive things in the world with what we do. Yeah.
No, definitely. Well, thank you for that.
Thank you.
That's why I even just say, like, thank you for all you are. I think it's important that we give people their flowers here and now.
Thank you.
While you're doing what you're doing, and I think that's like it's a major commitment to yourself and the world to say that, you want to kind of plant that seed in so many people. And I kind of, something that I say is kind of, it's interesting that you say that, because as much as you say that now, you're still young, you still have I guess a long way to go and a journey to continue. I kind of say, like, healing is not necessarily a destination. And even with the concept that I talk about on the podcast is kind of finding the queen within. And I think that's a message I've tried to put in many of the girls that I've spoke with over probably the past 4 coming on 5 years now. And that it's not a destination, it literally is a journey, and all these components of who you are, your adversities, your challenges, the people you meet, the lessons that you learn, your faith, all these things kind of just come into making that queen.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's kind of like you're just kind of, making your recipe almost to kind of just have your finished, but at the end of kind of your life. But it's never an end destination. And it's kind of just like you're writing the chapters of your book, you know what I mean, year by year, literally. So, and that's what I kind of feel with whatever you're, with all you're talking about. You're still writing those chapters. And there's chapters that are unfinished. But the end result will be beautiful with the good and the bad. Which I think is super, super powerful. And something I kind of want to speak about, related to purpose. I feel like everything can be good, but it isn't always. And me, myself, I think sometimes we can feel like we lose our spark a little bit. And we feel like we're losing our light a little bit. And interestingly enough, before this kind of, we're here sat together today, I was watching a video, I believe of you at the BAFTA Breakthrough Brits. And you were speaking about your experience with depression and finding your faith. And finding your light again. I would love for you to kind of share a bit on that and your advice to maybe young people, creatives, kind of that feel like they're kind of losing their light a little bit. And kind of just want to get back on track and ignite that spark again. So if you could share your experience with that, I think that would be super, super powerful. And your advice as well.
Oh man, bless you. That's a major one in my life, because when you say, like, how do you find your spark again, life has ups and downs, and
Indeed.
Sometimes that spark is gonna sustain you for like the next 2 years, and you have a high and you're on it and you're